The photograph lies in pieces on the marble floor. Confetti strips of my daughter's face. Her graduation smile scattered across Italian tile like trash. Victoria stands over the shreds, her Louboutins inches from the only picture I had left of Keisha. The only one that survived the apartment fire. The only piece of her I carried through 2 years of grief. You should have been working, Victoria says, examining her manicure. Not displaying your personal items in my home. Her home. The penthouse belongs to Marcus Chen, her fiancé. But Victoria's been calling it hers since she moved in 3 months ago. It was in my room, I manage. My voice sounds distant. Hello. In my private quarters. There's nothing private when you work for someone like Marcus. Everything reflects on him. On us. She steps deliberately on a piece of Keisha's face. Besides, it was depressing. Who wants to look at a dead girl? The words hit like fists. I am 46 years old. I have cleaned houses for 23 years. I have swallowed insults and slights and casual cruelties because I needed to work, needed the money, needed to survive in a world that treats women like me as furniture. But I have never been this close to putting my hands on someone. Get out, I whisper. Victoria laughs. Excuse me? You're fired, sweetheart. Pack your things, and what's going on here? Marcus Chen fills the doorway. 6'2", 40 years old, tech billionaire worth more money than I'll see in 10 lifetimes. He looks between us, his fiancée, poised and beautiful in designer clothes, and me, the maid trembling with rage. Nothing, Victoria says smoothly. Just addressing a personnel issue. Marcus's eyes drop to the floor, to the shredded photograph. Naomi. His voice is careful. What is that? I can't speak. If I open my mouth, I'll scream or cry or both. Victoria sighs dramatically. She was keeping pictures displayed in her bedroom, like she owns the place. I explained that it's inappropriate. She became hostile. That's a lie, I say quietly. Are you calling me a liar? Victoria's mask slips. Do you know who I am? My father sits on the board of Victoria. Marcus's voice cuts like a blade. Is that a photograph on the floor? It was cluttering. Did you destroy Naomi's photograph? Silence. Thick and dangerous. It was one picture, Victoria says finally. She can get another copy. No, I say. I can't. Marcus looks at me. My daughter died 2 years ago. Leukemia. Our apartment caught fire 6 months later. I lost everything except that photo. It was all I had left of her face. The words come out flat. Empty. Because I've cried all the tears. I've done all the grieving. And now I don't even have the picture. Marcus's jaw tightens. Victoria. In my office. Now. Marcus, you can't seriously. Now. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. Victoria stalks past me, her shoulder deliberately bumping mine. Marcus crouches down, begins gathering the photograph pieces. His hands are gentle, careful, like he's handling something sacred. I'm sorry, he says. I am so sorry. And then he does something that breaks me more than Victoria's cruelty. He cries. This billionaire, this man who controls companies and influences markets, kneels on his floor collecting pieces of my dead daughter and weeps. I lost my sister, he whispers. 5 years ago. Car accident. I have 1,000 pictures of her. And I'd burn them all if it meant getting her back. We stay like that, 2 people grieving on opposite sides of an impossible divide. When he stands, he holds the pieces like they matter. I'll fix this, he says. I promise you, Naomi. I'll fix this. 7 days earlier, the first time I met Victoria Laurent, I thought she was a vision. Blonde hair, blue eyes, Ivy League pedigree. The kind of beautiful that opens doors and breaks hearts. She glided into the penthouse on Marcus's arm like she owned the city. This is Naomi, Marcus said warmly. She's been with me for 3 years. Best decision I ever made. Victoria's smile was perfect. How lovely. Marcus speaks so highly of you. Her handshake was limp, dismissive. Her eyes slid over me like I was wallpaper. I'd seen that look before. I knew what it meant. But Marcus was happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy in a way I hadn't seen since his sister died. He'd been broken by that loss, drowning in work and isolation. Victoria seemed to bring him back to life. She's good for him, Mrs. Park said. Mrs. Park managed the building, had known Marcus since he bought the penthouse at 28. Maybe, I said. But I watched. It's what maids do. We watch. We see the things people hide. Victoria moved in 2 weeks after I met her. Marcus didn't ask my opinion, but I saw his hesitation. Too fast. He asked one morning while I prepared his coffee. Not my place to say, Mr. Chen. Marcus, please. We've known each other 3 years, Naomi. You can be honest. Could I? Could the maid tell the billionaire that his fiancée's smile never reached her eyes? That she spoke to service workers like they were inconveniences? That something about her felt performance rather than presence? If she makes you happy, I said carefully. That's what matters. He nodded, but his eyes held doubt. Victoria arrived with 17 suitcases and a renovation crew. This place needs updating, she announced. It's so masculine. She changed everything. The art Marcus's sister had chosen. The furniture his mother had helped him select. The small, personal touches that made the penthouse his home. She erased him slowly, methodically, replacing pieces of his life with her vision. Do you like it? Marcus asked me after she'd redone the living room in whites and silvers. I looked at the space where his sister's favorite painting had hung. It's very elegant. That's not what I asked. It's your home, Mr. Chen. Marcus, he corrected sadly. And it doesn't feel like my home anymore. Victoria began making demands. She wanted me to serve her breakfast in bed, to press her clothes, to style her hair. I'm a housekeeper, I told her. Not a lady's maid. You work for Marcus. I'm Marcus's fiancée. Therefore, you work for me. Marcus overheard. Naomi's job description is household management, not personal service. Victoria's smile tightened. Of course, darling. I would never want to impose. But her eyes promised retribution. The small revenges started immediately. Coffee I'd just made would be cold. Meals I'd prepared were inedible. Rooms I'd cleaned were filthy. Victoria complained constantly, always when Marcus was in meetings, always with that same sweet smile. You've been slipping lately, Naomi. At your age, perhaps the work is too much? At my age, I was 46. Victoria was 32. I'll address any issues, Miss Laurent. Mrs. Chen, soon enough. She examined a perfectly clean counter. You know, Marcus and I were discussing staff changes. After the wedding, we'll want a younger team. More contemporary. The threat was clear. I needed this job. Needed the salary that helped my sister pay for her son's therapy. Needed the health insurance that covered my blood pressure medication. Needed the stability after years of chaos. So I stayed quiet. Swallowed the insults. Did my work. But I kept the photograph of Keisha in my room. My private space. The one thing Victoria couldn't touch. Marcus noticed the tension. Is Victoria treating you well? He asked one morning. Of course, Mr. Chen. Marcus. He studied my face. You'd tell me if there was a problem? No, I wouldn't. Because rich people don't want the truth. They want confirmation that their lives are as perfect as they appear. There's no problem, I said. He didn't believe me. But he didn't push. That was the thing about Marcus Chen. He was kind, generous, fair. He'd helped me pay for Keisha's funeral when I came up short. He'd given me time off when I needed to grieve. He'd treated me like a human being in a world that often didn't. But he was also in love. And love makes smart people stupid. The children arrived 2 weeks after Victoria moved in. Marcus's business partner died in a plane crash. No immediate family except 2 kids, Daniel, 8, and Sophie, 5. The one named Marcus as guardian. I don't know anything about raising children. Marcus told me, panic in his voice. I work 80 hours a week. I travel constantly. How am I supposed to? You'll figure it out, I said. Children are resilient. Daniel and Sophie arrived with a social worker and 2 small suitcases. They looked lost, terrified, broken. Marcus knelt to their level, spoke softly, promised them safety. Victoria stood in the corner, her expression frozen. That night, I heard her arguing with Marcus behind closed doors. You didn't tell me you were taking in children. They're orphans, Victoria. What was I supposed to do? Find them a good foster home. A family equipped to handle this. Not disrupt our entire life. Our life? They just lost their father. And that's tragic. But it's not our responsibility. Silence. Long and terrible. They're staying, Marcus said finally. This isn't negotiable. Victoria emerged from the office, her face composed. She saw me in the hallway and smiled. I hope you're good with children, Naomi. You'll be spending a lot of time with them. I was good with children. I'd raised Keisha alone after her father left. I knew about homework battles and scraped knees and nightmares. Daniel and Sophie clung to routine like life rafts. I made sure they had breakfast before school, helped with homework, read bedtime stories. Marcus tried. He really did. But business crises kept pulling him away. Late meetings. Emergency calls. Travel. Victoria was worse than absent. She was hostile. Do they have to eat in the dining room? They're so messy. Could you keep them quieter? I'm trying to work. Why does the house always smell like children? The kids noticed. Children always notice. Does Miss Victoria not like us? Sophie asked me one night. She's adjusting. I lied. It's a big change for everyone. Our daddy used to say that mean people are just sad inside. Your daddy was right, I thought. But some sad people take their sadness out on everyone around them. 3 months in, I found Sophie crying in her room. What's wrong, sweetheart? She held up a stuffed rabbit. Worn, loved, clearly precious. Its head had been torn off. It was on my bed. And now it's broken and I don't know how. I knew how. I'd seen Victoria enter the children's wing that afternoon. We'll fix it, I promised. Good as new. I stayed up late that night stitching the rabbit back together. My hands ached, arthritis setting in. But Sophie's face when I returned it made every stitch worth it. You're like a grandma, she said, hugging me. We didn't have a grandma. Well, you do now, I said. The next day, Victoria cornered me in the kitchen. You're getting too attached to those children. I'm caring for them. It's part of my job. Your job is to clean, not to play grandmother. Mr. Chen asked me to help with. Marcus doesn't know what he needs. That's why he has me. She stepped closer. After we're married, things will change. We'll hire proper staff, younger staff, and those children will go to boarding school where they belong. They just lost their father, and coddling them won't bring him back. Victoria's voice was ice. They need structure, discipline, not some aging maid pretending to be family. She walked away, her heels clicking against marble. I stood in the kitchen, shaking with rage and fear. Because I knew Victoria wasn't bluffing. When she married Marcus, I'd be gone. The children would be shipped away. Everything Marcus had tried to build would be dismantled. And there was nothing I could do about it. Until the photograph. Until Victoria made her mistake. She went into my room, my private quarters, looking for ammunition. Looking for something to justify firing me. She found Keisha's picture on my nightstand. My beautiful girl in her graduation gown, smiling like the world held nothing but promise. And Victoria destroyed it. Not in anger. In calculation. Because she knew it was the thing that would break me. The thing that would make me quit before she had to create a reason to fire me. But she didn't account for Marcus walking in. Didn't account for him seeing what she'd done. Didn't account for the fact that grief recognizes grief. Now he's gathering pieces of my daughter's face off the floor. Now he's promising to fix this. And I want to believe him. God, I want to believe him. But I've learned that rich people's promises are like expensive gifts. Beautiful, well-intentioned, and ultimately insufficient. You can't fix shredded photographs. You can't bring back the dead. You can't make the powerful see the powerless as human. Marcus stands, the photograph fragments cupped in his hands like water he's trying to keep from spilling. Give me time, he says. Please, Naomi. Give me time. I pack my belongings in silence. The room that's been mine for 3 years empties quickly. I don't have much. Service workers never do. We travel light because we know employment is temporary, homes are borrowed, and attachment is dangerous. Mrs. Park finds me folding my uniform. You're leaving? Miss Laurent made it clear I'm not wanted. What did Marcus say? He's in his office with her now. I can hear raised voices through the walls. Arguing about me, probably. About whether destroying an employee's most precious possession is grounds for dismissal. Mrs. Park's face darkens. That woman is poison. That woman is going to be his wife. Not if I have anything to say about it. But Mrs. Park doesn't have anything to say about it. Neither do I. We're staff. We occupy a world that serves the wealthy but never influences them. A knock at my door. Marcus stands there, alone. His eyes are red. His tie is loosened. He looks like he's aged 5 years in an hour. Don't leave, he says. Please. Mr. Chen, Marcus. Please just. Marcus. He steps into my room, surveys my half-packed belongings. I fired her. The words hit like lightning. You what? I ended the engagement. Told her to be out by tonight. He runs a hand through his hair. You were right to be cautious about her. I should have listened to the things you didn't say. I never said anything. Exactly. You're always honest with me, Naomi. When you started choosing your words carefully, I should have known something was wrong. He sits heavily on my bed. My sister used to tell me I was a terrible judge of character in relationships. That I fell for presentations rather than people. She sounds wise. She was. His voice breaks. She would have hated Victoria, would have seen through her immediately. We sit in silence. Two people bound by loss, separated by everything else. The photograph, I finally say. You can't fix it. I know you meant well, but come with me. He leads me to his office. Victoria is gone, her presence erased as quickly as she'd inserted herself into Marcus's life. On his desk sits a laptop, screen glowing. When you first started working for me, I had the security company install cameras throughout the common areas. Not in bedrooms or bathrooms. I'm not a creep. But hallways, kitchen, living spaces. He pulls up footage. I review it sometimes, just to make sure everyone's safe. He clicks through files. Stops on one dated 8 months ago. This was before the fire at your apartment. Before you lost everything. He hits play. On screen, I'm in the kitchen preparing dinner. Keisha enters, alive, vibrant, wearing her hospital volunteer scrubs. She's in remission then, full of hope and plans. She hugs me. I spin her around. We're laughing about something. The camera captures her face perfectly. Her smile. Her eyes. Her beautiful, irreplaceable presence. I have 17 videos of her, Marcus says softly. Visiting you here. Helping you cook. Sitting in the kitchen doing homework while you worked. I never deleted them. I never delete anything. I can't breathe. Can't speak. Can't process what he's showing me. I can't give you the photograph back. But I can give you this. He opens another folder. Inside are dozens of high-resolution screenshots. Keisha smiling. Keisha laughing. Keisha living. I'll have them professionally printed. Any size you want. As many copies as you want. The tears come finally. Violently. 3 years of holding strong. Of swallowing grief. Of being professional. It all breaks. Marcus doesn't speak. Just hands me tissues. Waits. Why? I finally ask. Why keep footage of your maid's daughter? Because the first time she visited, she saw my photo of my sister. She stood there studying it, then turned to me and said, she had kind eyes. You must miss her terribly. He smiles at the memory. No one else ever mentioned how kind May looked. They all focused on how beautiful she was, how successful. But Keisha saw kindness. She had a gift for that. So do you. He closes the laptop. You see people, Naomi. Really see them. That's rare and valuable. And I should have seen Victoria clearly before she hurt you. You were in love. I was lonely. There's a difference. He stands. I need to ask you something. And you need to be completely honest. Okay. Do you want to stay? Not because you need the job. Not because you feel obligated. But because this is where you want to be. I look around his office. Think about Daniel's homework battles. Sophie's bedtime stories. Mrs. Park's gossip over coffee. Marcus's terrible attempts at cooking breakfast on weekends. Think about the penthouse that's become more home than anywhere I've lived in years. Yes, I say. I want to stay. Then I need your help. With the kids. With the household. With telling me when I'm being an idiot. He extends his hand. Not as my maid. As my household manager. With a title, a raise, and a contract that specifies no one, not a girlfriend, not a fiancée, not anyone, has authority to fire you except me. I stare at his hand. And one more thing, Marcus adds. I'm converting the spare room on the 3rd floor into a memorial space. For people we've lost. Photos, belongings, memories. May will be there. And if you're willing, Keisha too. Not hidden away in private quarters. But celebrated. Honored. Remembered. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay? Say you'll help me raise 2 traumatized kids who need someone who actually gives a damn. Say you'll keep being honest with me, even when I don't want to hear it. I take his hand. I'll stay. The memorial room takes shape over the next month. Marcus hires a designer who specializes in memory spaces. Keisha's printed photos arrive. 20 of them, professionally framed, capturing moments I thought I'd lost forever. Daniel and Sophie help arrange them. Add their own touches, drawings, flowers, a stuffed animal they insist Keisha would have liked. May's photos fill another wall. Marcus adds her favorite books, her medical school diploma, the telescope she used to study stars. This feels right, he says at the unveiling. Keeping them with us. Not locked away. The kids agree. They visit the memorial room when they're sad or scared, or just need to feel connected to loss that makes sense of their own. Victoria tries to return 2 weeks later. She arrives with apologies and explanations. Claims she was stressed about the wedding. Didn't mean the things she said. Loves Marcus deeply. He meets her in the lobby. Doesn't let her upstairs. You destroyed the only photograph a grieving mother had of her dead daughter. Marcus says clearly. There's no apology that fixes that. No explanation that excuses it. It was a mistake. It was cruelty. Calculated, deliberate cruelty. And I won't have it in my home. Victoria's mask slips. You're choosing the help over me. I'm choosing human decency. You should try it. She leaves in a rage of threats and insults. Marcus doesn't flinch. Later, he asks me, did I do the right thing? You did the kind thing, I tell him. Keisha would have approved. 6 months later, the penthouse feels transformed. Daniel makes honor roll. Sophie sleeps through the night. Marcus starts dating again. Carefully this time, with my explicit permission to offer opinions. Too self-absorbed. I tell him after he introduces me to a venture capitalist. Agreed, he says, and doesn't call her again. We become something unusual. A family assembled from grief and necessity. Not traditional, not conventional, but real. I'm not the maid anymore. I'm Naomi. Daniel and Sophie call me Nai, grandmother. Marcus calls me his sanity. I call it grace. The kind that comes from being seen, from being valued, from having your loss acknowledged rather than dismissed. On the anniversary of Keisha's death, we gather in the memorial room. Daniel reads a poem about loss. Sophie adds fresh flowers. Marcus lights candles. We tell stories about Keisha, about May, about people who shaped us and left too soon. Do you think they'd be proud of us? Sophie asks. I look at the photographs, and my daughter's smile captured in 17 different moments. At the family we've built from broken pieces. Yes, I say. I think they'd be very proud. 6 years later, the doorbell rings at 7 a.m. I'm already awake. Old habits die hard. Preparing breakfast for a household that's doubled in size. Daniel's in college now, but home for break. Sophie's in middle school. Marcus adopted them officially 3 years ago. And Marcus married again. This time to Jennifer, a pediatric surgeon who treats household staff like human beings and cries at movies and puts Sophie's drawings on the refrigerator. She's perfect. Keisha would have loved her. I open the door to find a young woman, early 20s, nervous. I'm looking for Naomi Williams. That's me. I'm writing a journalism piece about workplace dignity, about service workers who changed their employers' perspectives. Your name came up in my research. Marcus Chen credits you with teaching him to see people rather than positions. Marcus is too generous. He said you'd say that. She smiles. Would you be willing to be interviewed? I want to tell stories about people like you. People who matter but stay invisible. I think about the photographs scattered on marble floors. About the choice to speak up rather than walk away. About the truth that you can't fix everything, but you can fix some things. And those things matter. Yes, I say. I'll tell you my story. Because Victoria was wrong. I'm not invisible. I'm not powerless. I'm not just the maid. I'm the person who sees the truth when everyone else looks away. And that changes everything. If this story touched you, if you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever been dismissed, if you've ever had to choose between silence and dignity, remember this. Your presence matters. Your observations count. Your voice deserves to be heard. The world needs people who notice things, who speak up, who refuse to let cruelty win. Be that person. Be the one who sees, who cares, who acts. Because sometimes the smallest voice in the room carries the most important truth. And that truth can save lives, can build families, can transform everything. Subscribe if Naomi's courage inspired you. Share if you believe that human dignity matters more than social position. Comment with your own story of speaking truth to power. We're watching. We're listening. We see you.